Egyptian gods, wicked gods, and sacred beasts all in their anime versions, all in one deck. This is the Wrath of God. This combines all three god cards, just like in last week's video, only this time we are using the anime counterparts, which have a few differences and make this deck a hell of a lot stronger. For the most part, this deck is very similar to last week's deck, where I used the real-life versions of the gods. If you want to check that out, be sure to click the card above to see that. Also, in the card above, check out the previous video in which I showed this deck in action and just how strong it is. Like, this is actually insane just from switching to the anime cards and swapping out a few cards here and there. So it is quite different to the real-life version, but has a lot of similarities. So first of all, what is the difference between the real-life versions of these gods and the anime counterparts? For the Egyptian gods, there is not a lot of difference. The main difference is that, of course, they all have built-in protection, which makes them a lot more dangerous than their real-life counterparts. The other benefit is that the Winged Dragon of Ra can be special summoned and also has a crap ton of effects that are too long to even, like, contain on the card himself, and just make him a heck of a lot more powerful and a lot more useful as well. For the wicked gods, there is not much difference to their real-life counterparts. For the most part, they have all the same effects, except that in the manga they can be special summoned, meaning that we don't have to normal summon them, which makes them, again, a lot more powerful, as well as the fact that, like the Egyptian gods, they all have built-in protection, preventing their destruction. For the sacred beast, the three phantasms, these are mostly very similar to the real-life counterparts. Not a lot was changed there, except that they have much easier summoning conditions. For Uriya, you can send any 3 traps on the field, including face-down ones. For Hamon, you can send any 3 spells, not just continuous, including face-down ones. And for Raviel, you can send any 3 monsters, including face-down ones. The other difference with these cards is Raviel's effect to gain attack points works by tributing 2 monsters instead of 1, a lot like Obelisk. However, on the plus side, his token special summon effect works whenever your opponent summons a monster, whether that be normal summon or special summoned, unlike the real-life version. For Hamon, he's basically exactly the same as his real-life counterpart, and for Uriya, is also very much the same, except he has one extra effect. When this card is sent to the graveyard, you can discard a trap card from your hand to special summon Uriya during your next standby phase. The other major difference with the anime and manga versions of these god cards is that they are all divine beast monsters. The manga evil gods are divine attribute, divine beast type, and if you didn't know, the anime versions of the phantasms are also divine beast. This means that all 9 of our god cards now work with all the Egyptian god support that came out, with all the divine support, such as, you know, Soul Crossing, as well as some other cards. So any divine support that we have for the Egyptian gods in real life now work with our evil gods, as well as our 3 phantasms, which is completely insane, and that is what makes this deck so friggin' strong. Let's move on to the rest of our monsters. First of all, we of course have our basic god card summoner, Reactor Slime. Reactor Slime's effect special summons 2 tokens to your field, which gives you immediate 3 tributes for any of your gods, except for your sacred beasts, of course, with the only downside being that for the rest of the turn you cannot normal or special summon monsters except divine beasts. But like I just said, all of our gods are now divine beasts. The other bonus is that with the anime version of Raviel, you can tribute your Reactor Slime and its 2 tokens in order to special summon your Raviel. That's right, it doesn't use up your normal summon. Raviel is still a special summon, and you can use Reactor Slime and its 2 tokens to summon him. Next, we have our very basic Sacred Beast package. We of course have 2 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. This is the main starter in the deck. Normal summon him, search any Sacred Beast card, including all its support. That is just fantastic. We only need 2 of him because 3 is a little bit too much. You only really summon him once in a duel, and that's all you need. And of course, he can be searched with opening the Spirit Gates. Next, we have 1 copy of Phantasmal Summoning Beast. Phantasmal Summoning Beast does not actually really work with this deck. Let me explain why. This card's main effect to tribute it to search one of your sacred beasts, that part works. You can search for Uriya, Hamon, or Raviel, add that from your deck or graveyard to your hand, that's great. However, Its other effect is that you can then special summon a level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend monster. And if, like I just explained, the anime versions of the gods are all divine beasts, meaning that you can't summon any of these. However, you can summon your sacred beast support. You can summon all of your summoning beasts and your beckoning beasts with this effect, which isn't as fantastic, but is still something that you can do, and it does come up. However, the main reason that we run Phantasmal Summoning Beast is of course because when he's in the graveyard, you can banish it to add Dimension Fusion Destruction from your deck to your hand. This enables our one-turn Armor Tile combo, which happens a lot with this deck. It really does, and this is the main card that will allow us to do that. Next, for our Sacred Beast engine, we run one copy of Dark Summoning Beast. This special summons Sacred Beast from our deck and of course searches them by banishing this card from your graveyard. We have one copy of Chaos Core for the one-turn Armor Tile combo. If you want to see that in action, you want to know how that works, click the card above. I will leave a link to that video there. And finally, we run one copy of Chaos Summoning Beast to special summon our Phantasms from the hand and of course search for our Fallen Paradise. Alright, that's it for the monsters. This is a very basic engine. Of course, you Reactor Slime to bring out your Wicked Gods, your Egyptian Gods, and even your Raviel if you really want. And we have a full Sacred Beast package to bring out our Sacred Beast. The Sacred Beast engine is also really good at bringing out a lot of monsters on the field as well, meaning that it definitely works with this deck and doesn't slow it down at all, and it's just the easiest way to get a god on the field, being your Sacred Beast. Next, let's move on to our spell cards. We run one copy of Ancient Chant to search for our Winged Dragon of Ra. This also gives us an extra tribute summon. However, we only run one copy because we have other ways to get extra tribute summons, but having Ancient Chant is just a really good card just to search a card in your deck. It's always good to have an extra searcher in your deck, and it pulls us one of our gods. Next, one of the biggest differences in this deck compared to the real life version is Card Advance. We have two copies of Card Advance. This card is great. First of all, it allows us to have an extra tribute summon, which is obviously needed in this deck in order to do anything. Use normal summon your Reactor Slime, then Card Advance gives you the extra tribute summon to go into either your Egyptian gods or your Wicked Gods. The other benefit is that it lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and place them on top of your deck in any order. Now that doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds okay, right? It's a nice benefit, makes it slightly better than double summon, right? Except it has one other bonus, which we'll see in the card True Name. We have two copies of the True Name. This card's effect lets us declare one card name, look at the top card of our deck, and if it's the declared card, we add it to our hand. And if we do that, we can then add to our hand or special summon one divine monster from our deck. That makes this absolutely insane. So, like I said, all of our god cards are divine monsters. Unfortunately, you can't summon the Sacred Beast with this effect, but you can still add them to your hand. Now, this card can be used to special summon any of your Egyptian gods as well as any of your evil gods, making it a lot stronger in this deck as opposed to the real life counterpart of this deck. That just makes this card so much more worth running, along with Card Advance being able to look at the top 5 cards of our deck so that we know what card is on top and then hit it with True Name. This combo is completely insane in this deck. It gets any of our gods in our hand or on our field, making it very easy to bring them out and just go for an OTK. This deck is insanely good at summoning god cards. Like, if you don't summon at least 2 during your duel, you're doing it wrong. You can very easily bring out 3 god cards, even 4 with this deck. I've done it before, and it is just really fantastic, and True Name is one of the best ways to do it. The other best way to do it is, of course, 3 copies of Soul Crossing. Soul Crossing is even better in this deck because it allows you to summon your Wicked Gods as well. Our Wicked Gods are Divine Beast monsters. Soul Crossing lets us tribute our opponent's monsters as well as our own to summon a Divine Beast monster. And you can do it during your opponent's turn, disrupting their plays. You can set it on your first turn, then tribute 3 of your opponent's monsters as soon as they summon them. Soul Crossing is completely ridiculous in this deck, seeing that we have 6 Divine Beast monsters that we can summon with it. You'll always have an option to use Soul Crossing. Next for our spells, we have our Sacred Beast engine. We of course run 2 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates. Why do we run 2 copies instead of 3? Mainly because we don't need the Sacred Beast. We're not as reliant on the Sacred Beast with this version of the deck as we were with the real life version. So you only need 2 copies, and having 2 is honestly enough. That gives us 4 starters for our Sacred Beast with Dark Beckoning Beast and Opening the Spirit Gates. And Reactor Slime is a much better starter in this deck than it was in the real version as well. So running 3 copies, it ends up being a dead card after you get the first one out, basically. It works well enough. You almost always have at least that or Dark Beckoning Beast in your hand anyway, and you only need 1 of them, so it works fine. It's great. Just 2 is enough. Next, we have 1 copy of Dimension Fusion Destruction. Of course, to summon Armor Tile can be searched with Opening of the Spirit Gates if you want, or even more so with Phantasmal Summoning Beast. Finally, for our Sacred Beast spells, we have 1 copy of Fallen Paradise. Our Egyptian gods, wicked gods, already have their own protection, so we don't need Mound of the Bound Creator with this deck, which is fantastic. But Fallen Paradise does provide protection for our 3 Phantasms and, of course, Armor Tile as well. And again, it gives us 2 draws per turn. It's basically a once per turn Pot of Greed, so why wouldn't you run it, right? Next, we have our Reborn package. We have 1 copy of Millennium Revelation. This card is insane in this deck. It is actually crazy. Seeing as we run 9 Divine Monsters, we can use any of our 9 Divine Monsters to activate its effect and search Monster Reborn from our deck or graveyard to our hand. Now, you don't actually need Millennium Revelation to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra, which is fantastic since we're running the anime version, so you can keep Millennium Revelation on the field and just keep looping your Ra every turn, or any of your gods. Avatar is another fantastic choice with this card. It is fantastic. It's really, really good to just discard a god. You'll have plenty in your hand, you really will, and just bring back Monster Reborn to then revive the god. You can even summon 2 gods in 1 turn. Like, you reborn 1, discard a god, bring back Reborn, summon the other one. It's so easy, it's so fantastic, and it is one of the best strategies with this deck. Going along with that, of course, we have 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Definitely need this in any god deck, especially the anime versions. This card can be used to summon your wicked gods, as well as your Egyptian gods, including the Winged Dragon of Ra himself. Next, we have 1 copy of Foolish Burial to send any of our gods to the graveyard, especially Slifer, who can then be brought back with Revived Sky God, or any of our gods to bring them back with Monster Reborn. Keep in mind that you will not be able to bring back your Phantasms, as they have to be special summoned with their own effect. The other benefit of Foolish Burial is, of course, it can send Phantasms to the graveyard if you just need 1 more for the summon of Armor Tile, and it can be used to send our and it can be used to send any of our 3 summoning beasts to the graveyard to get off their graveyard effects to search cards from our deck. Finally, for our spells, we have our draw spells. We have 1 copy of Card Destruction. Since this deck has such easy ways to bring back gods from the graveyard, Card Destruction is a really good addition to this deck. Enabling us to discard 1 god or multiple and then draw a bunch of cards is really, really good. It gets the cards that we need to our hand faster, and yeah, since there is just so much Reborn in this deck, Card Destruction is an absolute must to get those gods in the graveyard. The other way to get gods in the graveyard is, of course, with your Opening of the Spirit Gates to discard and your Millennium Revelation like I spoke about before. Finally, for our spells, we run 2 copies of Pot of Desires. We have 9 gods in our deck. You don't need all of them, right? You don't need all of them. You can afford to banish a few. You can banish 10 cards, draw 2. Definitely worth it, 100% of the time. Next, for our spells, we of course run 1 copy of the Revived Sky God. If you can run it, if you run Slifer, you gotta run this card. It lets you draw 6 cards, it lets you summon Slifer on your opponent's turn, getting off his second mouth effect, and it's just a really, really good card to have in your deck. Next, we have 1 copy of Ultimate Divine Beast. This is one of the other major additions to the anime version of this deck. This card's effect, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard a spell or trap, then target a Divine Beast monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense mode, then you change the attack target to that card. That is just a really good effect for not only looping your Divine Beast, but just special summoning them to your field, but just for protecting your other monsters as well as your life points. Ultimate Divine Beast is a really powerful card. It is really good in this deck, especially since, like I keep saying, The Wicked Gods are divine beasts as well, and of course we can use this to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra in his Immortal Phoenix mode that he has in the anime, making him completely indestructible, and you can even use his point-to-point transfer effect to make his attack points ridiculous, or defense points rather, ridiculously high, and OTK your opponent on their own turn. This card is incredible in this deck, and is one of the best ways to play, and one of the most fun ways to use this deck. Finally, for our traps, of course, we have 2 copies of Metal Reflect Slime. You only need 2, we have 3 Reactor Slimes to search for it, and it's never a dead card, but you definitely don't need 3 of them. Alright, now let's look at our extra deck. So starting off, we have 1 copy of Chaos Phantasm Armatile, the anime version. This differs from the real-life version in that it has both the effect of Armatile and the effect of Phantom of Fury, being able to switch him to our opponent's control, banish all of their cards during the end phase, and then get him back to our field. Just something to keep in mind though, is that if you're playing on YGO Omega, this card is not coded properly. For some reason he goes to the graveyard during your end phase and he banishes himself with his own effect if you use that. So if you're playing on YGO Omega, you need to swap this card out as well as either your 7 Sins or your Appaloosa for the real life versions of Armatile and Phantom of Fury. Definitely better to have Phantom of Fury than it is to have 7 Sins or Appaloosa. Like, I'm just saying it now. It's a lot more helpful and a lot easier to bring out. Next up for our extra deck, we have 2 copies of God Slime. Definitely needed, especially with this version of the deck. God Slime counts as 3 tributes for the summon of a monster, which is just, you know, obviously very, very helpful with this deck. Next we have basic rank 10 package. We first have 1 copy of number 77, the 7 Sins, who can be summoned using a rank 10 Dark Xyz monster, which I've just realized that we don't actually have. That's really, really awkward. There we go, that sorts that out. Anyway, first we have 1 copy of Juggernaut Liebe, 1 copy of Super Dimensional Robot Galaxy Destroyer, and 1 copy of Gustav Max. OTK machines right here. 5,000 attack, destroys all spells and traps, 2,000 damage, comes in handy a lot, then you have such big monsters, and of course, Juggernaut Liebe, the OTK train himself. Next we have our Link monsters. We run 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Getting monsters on the field is very easy with this deck, especially with Raviel's effect. You'll, like, anytime you summon Raviel, as soon as your opponent's turn hits this day and age, you're gonna have a full field, basically. It's fantastic. 1 copy of Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, same reason. And also, God card deck, brings out 3 monsters, no problem. 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Again, like I just said, God card deck brings out 3 monsters very easily. Also, we have 9 monsters in our main deck, as well as more, like 4 in our extra deck that have that are level 7 or higher, thus giving Blackluster Soldier his protection. We of course run 1 Nightmare Unicorn and 1 Nightmare Phoenix for obvious reasons, and 1 SP Little Knight for very similar reasons. 1 copy of IP Masquerena to give our Link monsters protection and interruption, and 1 copy of Salamangreat Almirage to enable our 1-turn Armatile combo. Again, we want to see how that works, check out the card above. That is all for this deck. One last thing to note is Ra's Disciple. Why don't we run Ra's Disciple? Ra's Disciple is a great card for this deck. It's just that Reactor Slime is better. It works better, it's easier. It limits you. Like, Ra's Disciple, you can't special summon at all, even like after the turn that you use his effect. It is better for Ra, gives him more attack points than Reactor Slime would, but it can only be tributed to summon the Egyptian gods. It can't be used for our Wicked Gods or even our Raviel. So Ra's Disciple just doesn't work with this deck, so we definitely don't need it. So that is all for this deck. This deck is insanely good. You can very easily get out 3 gods in 1 turn, or just 2 turns even. Just whenever you're playing, you can get out 3 gods, it's really easy. And of course, the anime gods all have their own protection, making them very hard to get rid of. It's a good deck, it's really strong. Try it out for yourself, let me know how that goes. Let me know any changes that you would make to this deck. And of course, if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, give it a share, and as always, my name is Ben Sinkara, and until next time. Also, if you want to see the real life version of this deck, not using the anime cards, click the card above or the playlist at the end of the video. See ya!